Turkey Cross! Hi, my name is Anna, and I'm a singer.
Hi, my name is Peyton, and I'm a dancer.
And today, what are we doing today?
Today, we are back! We are back with another very exciting comeback reaction, and it is our first A.C.E comeback reaction since we did a series on them. Like, real title track comeback reaction.
Yeah.
I'm really hype.
Yes, so A.C.E just released their music video for their new song called Higher. As you may know, if you follow us on our socials, we have been following all of the teasers and stuff as they've been coming out. So we are very up to date and kind of know what to expect, but also I feel like we need to address that this is coming out a little bit later than most people probably would have expected. Here are the reasons why.
Well, for obvious reasons, we wanted to film this reaction together. This is so awkward. We wanted to film the reaction together, but since we didn't know what time the music video was coming out, it was really hard to coordinate when Anna should come visit me. So she just got here less than an hour ago, and we're filming it immediately.
That being said and done with, is it time to go watch the music video?
I'm nervous. Okay, let's do it.
What?
That's different, right?
It's like an orchestra at the beginning of a concert. Pretty.
It's so pretty.
파도.
The way he's sitting is so pretty.
How does someone sit pretty?
He's so pretty!
I don't know why I thought that was a fishbowl.
I did too. Oh, it's like
Wow.
Narcissus looking in the glass.
Ah. Oh! Was that a gun?
That was a gun cocking sound.
What is all the eagle?
They're like loving. That was beautiful too! Butterfly! I want to see a full shot of that part.
Oh.
Oh!
Hmm? Oh yeah, it's really pretty.
His foot was pointed.
Yeah. Oh, that was nice. It came out late. What is that supposed to be? I'm like not registering the casa right now, by the way. I feel like that would explain something. Sorry.
But same.
Oh. Oh? Wow. Oh. What is that?
Why is he doing a yo-yo?
What is his background? I didn't catch what it was. Oh. Hmm?
I feel like there's a lot of lore happening.
Right? And siren.
Yeah. But also just like Ace World.
Oh, his shirt is like kind of...
Is there no rappers?
Unless they do like a rap outro, there's nothing. Because it's all, they keep getting the netting and like pulling it.
I got some high on that.
Was it higher than you expected? Are you proud of me?
Yes.
Thank you.
Is Chani the main character?
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot to say and not a lot of time, so let's just jump right into it. First, just talking a little bit more conceptually about how like the album concept ties into the dance. So obviously it's Siren Dawn, so sirens are a really big recurring theme in it. And like you can see that in the set, there's a lot of water imagery, a lot of seashells, a lot of things like that. But yeah, in the dance, there's a lot of waves. And there's the more obvious ones, like what Anna's doing right now. There's a lot of this with their arms, or they're like isolating down their arms. And then there's also the more obvious body rolls. But honestly, my favorite ones were the ones that were not as obvious. Because one thing I noticed about it, especially in the chorus, is they're constantly moving. And it's like when you're swimming, especially a fish swimming or something, they never stop moving. Like you just are constantly moving. And especially in the chorus, like the part I'm thinking about specifically is when Donghoon is in the middle and he's walking forward, they're doing body rolls through that. And they're really, really small ones. And it's very controlled, but every time they move, they're like rolling through their body. And so it's just that sort of feeling that's through the whole dance. But here's what I want to talk about more. And so let me just tell you how A.C.E are fantastically talented, wonderful technicians when it comes to their dancing. I don't have a lot of time to say all of this, so we'll get to as many examples as possible. The first one, Anna said, how can someone sit pretty? Because I was like, oh, Tanny, he's sitting so pretty. Well, let me tell you how someone can sit pretty. So first of all, he's sitting in a seated fourth position. So his front and back leg are in an inverted attitude position. You'll know exactly what I mean if you look at it. But the thing that makes it pretty to me is his body placement, because his hip is down. It's really easy when you're sitting like that. If you don't have the flexibility, you have to sort of like tilt your body sideways so that you can sit in that position, but he doesn't because he's got the technique to be able to do it, which is so small. But I was like, something else that was really beautiful, the arch backwards that Jinny does, that was so pretty because, like, yes, it's just a very stunning moment, but the technique that he's using to do that is so proper. His head is what's leading the arch backwards, and if you go back and watch it, his back, his upper back stays arched until his head touches the floor, and then he rolls through and relaxes his back down. And what you usually have happen is you kind of start backwards, and then people chicken out and they like let their chest collapse and touch first, and that's not right. He did it right. Also, just some more general things. The jumping is all together. Like if you pause it, they're the exact height off the floor, like their bodies are in the same position, and that has to be coordinated because they have different body styles. So when they jump, they go to different heights. Their legs off the ground too, like when they jump forward, are at the same height and in the same position, and their feet are flexed. But let me tell you why it doesn't bother me. It's because their feet are purposefully flexed, because there's energy into it where they're purposely holding that position. It's not just that they're hanging. So I was like, one more sort of like general thing that I really appreciate about a lot of A.C.E choreographies, but especially about this one, is the heads in the choreography. Because in K-pop dances, it's not uncommon to sort of choreograph the entire body except the head, because you're usually like more focused on finding a camera or something. Everything's very front facing. But A.C.E choreographies are choreographed a lot more like a traditional dance, where their heads are constantly moving. Like if they put their hand out, they follow their hand, or they will look down, they will do head circles. And so they're not just always looking forward, and it really adds this completeness to the dance. And I've already talked for way too long, but we're going to talk about this anyway because it's my favorite part of the whole dance. And it's the line that Donghoon did with his pointed toe. And I even got up during our break to show Anna the difference between how I would expect to see it in K-pop and how he did it. So first of all, yes, his foot is pointed. And if you watch our other videos, then you know that that's sort of a recurring thing. And now it's like a joke. But it's beautiful. It makes the line so much longer. But also his standing leg that's not extended is turned out. So it's in a proper position. And then his arms that are extended, his shoulder is down and his wrists aren't broken. The hand extends past. So it's just such proper, like perfect positioning, and it's so beautiful. And they're just such great technicians. I love watching them dance. And honestly, I didn't talk a lot about the music video. I talked more about the dancing, but it's just because there's so much of the music video that is lost on me that all I can really say is it's beautiful and they look ethereal. And it's time.
Okay, so now it is time for my comments. I guess sort of talking about like going into this after watching all of the teasers, like the album spoiler too, what I was expecting. Based on like the teaser, like the intro song too, it felt like they were trying to go like very classical with this album, sort of. The intro is literally them trying to sing in the like very classical way, and then in the beginning of this song it's very like subdued. Like you don't hear the typical like synths that you would hear in an A.C.E song right off the bat. Right at the beginning you hear this sort of like wind up sound, like not a wind up sound, but it's like a sort of thing happening, and then it's guitar. It's not even an electric guitar, it's an acoustic guitar. And then even on top of that, like as the song is building, you get mainly only strings. So it's like you also get an electric guitar. I think you hear bass. I think you also hear some sort of string like viola or cello. It's not a violin. So in like the first verse, it's very different from what you would expect from a usual Ace title track. Even the intro with like the Beat interactive logo, I said, it was like, oh, it's like when an orchestra is like tuning before their concert performance. But then once you hit like the pre-chorus and the chorus, it's very much like the typical Ace song title track that you would think of. At this point, we now know most Ace title tracks are very like electronic, like EDM, very heavy on the synths and many layers of synths working together. For this song specifically though, it feels more like house. There's a lot of different synth layers that also make it feel kind of like otherworldly, like sort of futuristic. There's a lot of like those high-pitched ones, not like electronic techno that you think of like a video game one, but those really high-pitched ones that like I associate it with seeing like a bright shining light. If you think of that in like a synth form, that's the kind of sounds that they use a lot in this. If you put it in the context of this album and like the music video concept, it's sort of like fantastical because they are supposed to be sirens. But like I mentioned, those sections are really focused in like the chorus. One thing I thought was really interesting about the chorus though is when they sing the I'm going higher part, the higher is sustained for a very long time. That's not abnormal, but what is sort of abnormal about it is that while sustained on the higher, the dynamic level is the same. Like it doesn't fade out, and usually for something like that, it would fade out. So I thought that was a really interesting choice, and instead what would usually happen is you hear O's happening faintly in the background towards the end of the higher, and usually like the higher would fade out, and then those O's would be like the focus and like at a higher dynamic level instead, but for the song it was the opposite. And then the last thing I guess I wanted to talk about was you were talking about Tongwon's pretty lines, and I was like, yeah, it was a pretty line, but I was talking about the line he was singing. His like really sentimental, emotional moment. It's like kind of breathy singing, but it's like the start of one of the lines, it comes out like half a beat late because it's like really breathy and it's like you're so choked up and the words are being forced out of you because you're so emotional. That was great. And then last thing I guess I'll talk about is you mentioned in the reaction like, oh, there's no rap section in this song. And it is an interesting choice, but it also makes sense with the concept that they're going for this album because sirens, and sirens are known for like their singing voices. All right, that's all I have to say.
TLDR is, it was our first real Ace title track comeback since we did our Getting to Know Ace series. So we were really excited, a little bit nervous, but like, I don't know why. Ace is super talented. They always deliver. They always have great dancing. They always have great singing. And they have really just enraptured us with their siren-like vocals.
That being said, if you would like to talk with us more about Ace, I mean, there are already a lot of people who talk with us about Ace on like Twitter and Instagram, but if you haven't yet, keep doing it. You can contact us on our socials, which are linked in the cards. Also, if you like this reaction video, be sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, turn on your notification bell, and bye!